Well, when we talked in last episode about being in the future, now we're here.
The future.
The future's the present?
That future was now our past. And now we're presently here. And that's just, whoa.
This feels like an English lesson I hate.
I want to point out, I watched, last weekend, I watched the new Bill and Ted movie.
Oh.
Because they had a third one come out, and it was really good.
Wait, like a 2020 version?
Yeah. And Keanu Reeves is in it, and Alex Winter, I think is.
No way.
So it was so funny.
Wow.
But it's like it's like all time travel, so I feel like what I just said, where I was like, we were in the past, now we're in the future. Like, that's basically what the whole movie was. They're like, let's go to the future to steal from ourselves.
Was that written in to explain why they're, like, old?
It's like, time has passed, so it just, like, they're like, now we're adults, and they're, like, married, and they have 2 daughters. They each have a daughter, and the daughters are, like, exactly like them, and it was really funny.
Oh my god.
And Kid Cudi's in it, so that was a fun surprise.
Wow.
I know.
Man.
So anyway, we're Bill and Ted. That's the point of the story.
Wait, which one are you? Which one am I?
Oh my god. I don't know. I mean...
I feel like I'm kind of like a little ding-dong sometimes.
But they're both like that. I feel like you would be Ted, because you're taller.
Which one's Ted?
Keanu.
Yeah.
I would be Bill, because I'm shorter and I have blonde hair.
Totally.
Excellent!
Tubular! Oh my god, I said that not trying to be cool.
Oh no.
Sisters who've seen it. We are the sisters who've seen it. Sisters, shooby-dooby-doo-wop, sisters, shooby-dooby-doo-wop, sisters, 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 sisters. Sisters who've seen it.
Hello!
Hi there!
We're still here in the present. If you were wondering.
Okay.
All right. So we are the Sisters Who've Seen It, the podcast where 2 sisters who are not movie critics look back on some of our favorites throughout the years through a psychological, ethical, and familial lens. I'm Katie.
I'm Bridget.
And we're not reviewing Scary Movie. We just want to make sure everybody understood the assignment. Just to be clear, the movie this week is Scream.
Okay, I want to poll the listeners. And by polling, I want you to either tweet, Instagram, whatever that is, because Katie believes that the listeners watch the movie from the previous episode to prepare for the current one.
Some
so
do.
When it comes out. Okay. We don't know if that's our entire audience, Kate. It could just be a low percentage.
Maybe.
So we should learn something. So we want to hear from you. Let us know.
Okay.
How do you like? Do you like to watch the movie and listen? Do you take your time? We want to know.
Yeah.
So, the fun fact about this title, which is really going to confuse people even more.
Oh, God.
Is Wes Craven.
Yeah.
Wanted Scream to be called Scary Movie.
Oh, I think I knew that, actually.
Not trying to make a terrible joke on a joke on a joke.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane?
It's like, oh, man, it's like a parallel universe.
So,
going on.
so first of all, this is a Weinstein film, so part of the reason that the name was changed is because, like, a Michael Jackson song or some sort of, like, famous song came out about, like, Scream or something. And so they hooked onto that word because they thought it'd be popular. And then Wes Craven's like, okay, fine. You guys are the worst. Moving on.
Rest in peace, Wes Craven. He passed away.
When?
I think, like, last year, maybe. Or maybe earlier this year. Yeah. He was great.
Wow. Wow, in all my Googling, I did not see that. Do you know he was in a scene in this film?
Oh, I do.
Oh, do you?
Do I? I don't know if you understand the extent of my love for this movie.
Oh.
Because we didn't really have in the moment reveal of this. We did it via text.
Didn't.
Yeah, so you didn't see my reaction.
Would you like to do it right now?
You're gonna get the vibe when I get into this because
okay, so
I'm gonna be getting
Jurassic Park. If 10 is Jurassic Park, and if one is, what movie did you hate?
I didn't hate any. Everybody says I hate some of these movies. I don't, people. I tell you that.
I got it.
Don't say Rocky.
If Saw is a 1 and Jurassic Park is a 10, where does Scream fit on your movie?
I did not think Saw was a 1.
If Adam was a 1 from Saw,
okay, well that's different.
And Jurassic Park is 10, where does this fit?
This is an 8.5. This is up there for me. It's one of my favorite scary movies. One of.
You're not alone. A lot of people love this film. And I did a lot of research into why, which we'll get to, but fascinating. Yeah. So should we do a synopsis?
Yeah. So do you want me to go first?
Yes. Okay. This is your genre.
It's my genre. I will not. I'm not gonna pull a Jurassic Park and reenact every scene.
I honestly loved it. I thought I thought it was great. But this is a plot, so
yes,
I don't expect it to be short. Go for it.
Well, okay. So basically, starts off with you see a girl. We don't even really know her name. It's Drew Barrymore. She starts getting these creepy phone calls. And this is the 90s, y'all. Ain't no caller ID. Nope. And she lives in a big house. It's out in the woods or a field or something. And basically the calls keep coming and the person, she starts talking with them more. And then the person basically starts to threaten her. And she starts to get very afraid. And it starts to turn into harassment. It turns into death threats. It turns into scares. It turns into dead boyfriends. What? And then basically now she's getting attacked by a masked killer. And we don't know who it is. And she does not know who it is. And it's cray. And she did. She dies. It's pretty sad. She almost makes it and then she don't. But that's kind of kicks off to basically... You're in this small town, group of teenagers who are friends, and some of them are dating and whatever. They all go to the same school as this girl and the guy who died. And so basically it kicks off this plot where there was a killer, we're trying to find the killer, and the police get involved, the news people get involved, and it's all very reminiscent for the main character, Sydney, of when her mom was murdered, because her mom was murdered a year ago. And so...
raped.
Yes. Well, that's an alleged.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was made very clear. Because there's some of the plot, I feel like you gotta watch it a couple times to be oh, that's what was happening.
Yeah.
So it's kind of okay, everyone's on edge and whatever, but especially for the girl Sydney, she's very, nervous. And then, lo and behold, later that night, homegirl gets phone calls from this scary person, and we don't know who it is, and she doesn't know who it is, and she at first isn't taking it seriously, but then she takes it seriously, because it gets serious. And then she gets attacked, and oh my god, we don't know who it is. Think it's the crazy boyfriend, and I'm saying crazy. I'm gonna leave that word in there. And I don't care if it's a spoiler, because he is so creepy. Oh. He's the creepiest person, even when he's not supposed to be creepy. He's so creepy.
I have a theory on why he's creepy.
Is it because he looks like Johnny Depp and has greasy hair?
Sure, but he doesn't blink. Pay attention to his eyes. Ew. They never blink.
I hate that. Maybe that is why.
It's creepy.
All right, I feel myself kind of my passion is coming out, so I'm gonna rev the engine a little. So basically, this main character, she keeps essentially getting attacked, and nobody knows who this real killer is, and they think it's the boyfriend. They find out it's not the boyfriend. Oh my god, because they got a phone call and his cell phone was cleared and all this stuff. So we really don't know who it is. And then at one point she gets attacked in school, or there's an attempted attack. She gets away. School lets out early. Her friends are yo, let's go party. Party time, excellent. And she's like, what a great idea. Let's do it to get my mind off murder. Let's just leave that pause in there. So
many problems.
A lot of bad decisions. So really the whole second half of the movie is at this party, and there's death. people die. We still don't know who the killer is because they're masked. And then at the end, you find out who the killers. Plural. You find out who they are. And then in the end, Sydney wins. Because she's the best. I didn't say who the killers are, but, you know, we'll talk about that, I guess.
Loved it.
Woo!
Loved it. Excellent. My ads would be part of the cult following to this film was prior to 1996. A lot of the scary movies had those, like, cliche elements.
Yep.
And this film was one of the first ones to, like, call that out.
Yeah.
In a smooth way.
It's very meta.
Very meta.
And homage-y, you know?
Yes. Very, meta's the perfect word. And that, I think, is what makes it smart, is it's, like, making fun of itself while calling out the industry, while preparing you and simultaneously surprising you.
Yeah.
In the film. And so I think that's, like, that should be added to the synopsis. But everything else, I mean, the only thing that you talked about but deserves more attention is Courtney Cox.
Gail Hailstorm. It's not Gail Hailstorm in this movie. It's Gail Weathers.
Oh my god. Who is a force in this movie. And the other thing I read is, like, so these scary movies, because at this time, like, VHS tapes were getting big. So basically, like, everyone was making a scary movie, and it was just, like, going to VHS, and, like, you could have any person. You didn't need a famous actor. You just had, like, anybody. But this film, like, actually had some serious backed names to it. Mm-hmm. And Courtney Cox was the nice Monica from Friends. And
I was like, nice.
Well, she, like, tried extremely hard to get this part on purpose because she wanted this, like, wild difference of being basically a giant bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's, like, really fascinating as the newswoman that's really giving you, like, this. It's like there's 3 levels of story. It's, like, Sydney that's in the story, then the cast making fun of, like, scary movies and paralleling their life events, and then her as the news anchor telling it from the outside. So you're these different layers of, like, what was going on. It was cool. It was really cool. And that's, I think, what made it so huge is, like, no one did anything like that at that time.
Wes Craven, man.
Woo!
He's, like, he's so good at that. He had a movie that came out, I think in the 90s, too. It might not have been too far after Scream, because he was the one who originally did the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
And which is why you referenced he's in the movie dressed as a janitor, but do you know what horror icon he's dressed up as?
As Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. So, 'cause that's, like, his movie. But he came out with a movie that was, like, a follow-up, kind of, to the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. That was called New Nightmare. It was, like, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And the whole plot of the movie was it followed the actress who played the main girl Nancy, in the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And it followed her, and it was supposed to be following her, like, in her real life. And then in her real life, it started to parallel when she was in the movie. And in this movie, it's like, oh, she's doing press releases, and, like, they're all talking about Freddy, and she's like, nah, I don't want to do another one of those movies. But then, like, it really started to happen, and it's just so good.
He's twisted that way.
It did not get enough attention that it should have at the time for whatever reason, but that's, if you guys like scary movies and you have not seen that, you should watch it because it's so fun. It's just the same thing as this, where it's kind of like, you know what they're referencing.
Yeah, and okay, because I don't watch scary movies, so you make me watch these things. And what I remember when this came out is Drew Barrymore was on the cover. Yeah. And it was like her huge face. And then everybody went to watch it and they were like, she's dead in 5 minutes into the film.
Yeah.
But then I read that she actually was supposed to be the lead. She was supposed to be Sydney. And she backed out because, I don't know, she had other things going on. I don't know what it was. But it makes so much more sense of, like, why they had all this, like, hype around her. But then, honestly, in those 5 minutes, she kind of crushed it.
And it's also, like,
crushed it.
Even though it wasn't maybe, like, a purposeful decision, I feel like this movie, of all the movies, would have made a conscious choice like that to be like, you know what? Every horror movie, everybody knows who's gonna live because we always hype them up. So you know what? Let's fake them out. And let's have, like, this person, you know...
Totally.
Seem like they're the star, and then we're gonna kill them right away.
Yep.
Because really, yeah, movies don't... I mean, now that's, like, more common. But yeah, back then, no way.
Yeah, because people are like, we paid for this person. We gotta make sure that we get our money's worth. But this had a cast of, like, I read, you know, they called it, like, the CW cast. Like, the Dawson's Creek, the, like, cool crew. Okay, wait, this blew my mind. So the writer...
Dawson's Creek?
Yeah, the creator of this movie went on to write Dawson's Creek.
That's so funny.
Let me see. So, like, this person was super talented, but, like, came out of nowhere. Yeah, Kevin Williamson. And this idea of Scream came out of, he was watching Barbara Walters talking about some serial killer. And when he went to, like, get up to go to the bathroom, the windows were open in his home. And he was like, oh, why are they open? I'm kind of freaked out. This real serial killer. And then his friend called him and was, like, making jokes about what's your favorite scary movie. And he literally wrote Scream from that.
Jeez.
It's, like, so talented.
Ooh.
And then, obviously, Wes Craven just made it come to life. I mean, my God. Just for being a wuss with scary movies... I mean, I did get a little like, but it's not terrible.
This one's not bad. There's not a lot of gore and even
Jumpy.
the popping out. Yeah, I was going to say there's some, but it's not like, I don't know. If it's a pop out, it's like there's an entire body coming out, not like a hand or like a nut.
I would also argue that people should watch Scary Movie the parody and then watch Scream because parts of me were like laughing at the movie because I was thinking of the parody.
Because you were just like, Gale Hailstorm here.
Well, because I was like, okay, this isn't as scary because I'm a little more aware of like what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so, okay, the 90s you talked about of Drew Barrymore just like casually being on the phone and this person harassing her. Okay, in 2020.
I don't answer.
I was going to say, how old is she? She's what, 16 because she's in high school?
Sure.
No one's picking up the phone.
No.
This serial killer doesn't exist in 2020. Even if it's like a scary text, they could literally just block a number and it's like technology has not made this possible.
Yeah.
Even like the way the killers were like, well, I cloned his phone to Sydney's dad and that's why they didn't realize it was me. And it's like, did you just make up like cloning a phone?
They did. Yes.
What? Is that like a technical term in 1996 or is this made up for a movie?
Also, the voice thing, I'm like, that's not how those work. Like, it doesn't make everybody sound the same. You know, it like depends on your voice, how it's gonna sound.
Yeah.
So, my fan theory is that in the Drew Barrymore scene, because obviously at the end you find out there's two, so one of them had to be talking to her on the phone. My fan theory is that it was Stu talking to her on the phone.
And why is that?
He dated her, which Randy points out. Randy's like, are the police aware that you dated the victim? Which I'm like, yeah, that's a good question. Hello? The police? And they didn't ask him that, so no.
Dewey?
Hello? Dewey? Deputy Dewey Boy, which is what he gets called, and that's an amazing nickname. But like, and then he just keeps talking and like kind of talking about random stuff, and then you meet Stu, and he just like babbles about weird things and makes weird references, and he just talks for so long all the time that I was like, this is Stu. And Billy's being the creepy guy, like slashing up the boyfriend because Billy's gross and needs a shower. So,
Well, I did read, which you can continue your fan theory of the fake movie, but real life, there was an actor who did that voice that Wes Craven made a conscious decision to hide his face from all the actors, which I'm like, oh, super cool.
Is that just so they would be like...
So they didn't
freaked
have,
out when they heard it?
Like, the filming of Jaws, like, you never saw the shark, so that's what made it scary. So, like, if you see someone, you're like, oh, that looks like this person, I'm not as scared. It's like, not seeing them is worse because it's what you hype in your mind. Or like a really good book. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of fascinating.
But I think that was like part of the scare, though, was it's not like this killer's just appearing and they're murdering you. They're taunting you, and like you're getting a phone call and you're getting things said to you, and you don't know why it's happening, and you can't do anything to stop it.
Okay, but I have a serious question on logistics with this. Because you come to find out this is like her house, because her parents come home who like miss seeing her dying on the front lawn. But okay, that's another story.
Literally on the porch, but yes.
Literally on the porch dying, and they're just like, oh, Barry, what a good steak. You're like, what?
Yep.
But if I am alone in my house, even in the middle of nowhere, even in a safe town, maybe this is Canada, but I think it's like California.
Yeah.
You lock the doors, right?
Thank you.
Inside,
you lock all 87 doors in your mansion because there's a lot of them, and lock them.
Okay, can we talk about how every house in this movie was a mansion?
I think, though...
What?
I suspect it's because they wanted to have a lot of the scare scenes are in houses, so they wanted there to be a lot of different places they could run to and changes of scenery, whereas if they were in a smaller house, I don't think they would have had that luxury. So I guess that's why, but like, yeah, what? Are you guys going to the same school as the 10 Things I Hate About You kids?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, is this in Seattle with 10 Things I Hate About You?
Is Heath Ledger really the killer?
He would never.
Oh, no.
But yeah, the fact that at the end where they have the party mansion house, and Rose McGowan, who is her own special... First of all, we have to spend time talking about her, but she is dead in the garage door opener.
Yes.
And the kids are just going in and out of the house. And I'm like, so you're telling me this house is so big that the garage and the driveway are in a completely separate area because this is just such a mansion that you don't even see some dead girl hanging?
I think so. I think that's what they're selling us. Yeah.
Wild.
And it's like they're all in the woods. Nobody has neighbors. And none of these kids had cars. Nobody drove. Sydney rode the bus. It was like, Sydney, like, I think you can afford a car. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So I believe the rich snobbery with the endless theme of 2 of your high school students in your class got brutally murdered, and you guys are all kind of like laughing about it.
Or like, let's go to the party.
Yeah, or like, let's run down the hallway pretending we're the killer. And I'm like, what?
You know what, though? I hate to say it, but I feel like that.
Would that would happen?
I kind of... There's always that one...
Kids are mean! Kids are mean!
You know what? Not to excuse them, but I feel like a lot of times it's more... Making people laugh is a big motivation for some, and sometimes they decide to do things like that they think are funny over things that are not funny and traumatic and distasteful. I mean, that's what these 2 kids were, you know? They were just like... Yo, but Henry Winkler put them in their place.
But did he do that appropriately? Because that was a really weird scene.
Yeah, that was a little too much. Wait, I want to go to my notes for that.
Okay, because I was like, I don't know if this is the best way to reprimand your students.
Oh. I'll just read you the lines from there. I go, Henry Winkler goes in a weird monologue about how everyone sucks. And then I go, yeah, expel him. Oh wait, like, don't threaten children. Oh, that's too much. Don't do that.
I wrote, he threatens them with scissors. What kind of school is this?
I don't even know. I mean, I'm sure this was all written in the script, but there were a lot of times where Henry Winkler, as the principal, was like making weird announcements, like in the background of scenes. Like the first one when they all get to school, he's like, your principal loves you. What the F is happening? Oh, I don't even know.
So he also, at one point, when Sydney gets called into the office and they're all like, oh, Sydney, you know, her mom died almost a year ago.
I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
And then he just, like, grabs her chin and, her face.
Too much.
And I'm like, Henry, why are you, like, cuddling your student as the principal?
Not okay.
Okay, but the one critique, because it reminds me of the threatening scissor scene, is the sound effects of those scissors. I don't know if you, like, paid attention, but it was like... when he was threatening them, was the same as the killer, like, moving the knife, and it was like... But it was really bad sound effects.
Oh.
And I feel like it did not age well.
Well, they were definitely trying to kind of make you think
everyone was a killer.
Everyone's a suspect!
And like Henry Winkler's boots, they like zoom in on his boots because the guy from the bathroom has boots. I'm like, wait, so the principal's... I'm sorry, he's old. Do you think he's like chasing after you like that?
He's hiding in the girl's bathroom? I mean, he might be. It's just a little too much. But like, not in a costume. Goodness.
No, Henry, no.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
Yeah. But okay, we should talk about each character because I think they all deserve some spotlight. And we should get Rose McGowan going because...
Okay, we could talk about her. Tatum.
Especially in the 2020 era, the post-Me Too, the, post-Harvey Weinstein in jail, hopefully for life, whatever.
Yeah.
This was 1996. She was in this film and it kind of got her to stardom. And in 1997 is when her basically saying Harvey Weinstein raped me. And then those allegations came out because she basically signed a form since everyone's like, are you kidding? He owns this town. Who do you think you are? You're some 23-year-old bimbo. Get over it.
Yeah.
It's so sad to me that her character was like a slut, basically.
And that that one scene where her nipples are showing and you're like,
yes.
Why are we pausing for so long?
Yes. And, the person that raped you, put you in a film, and all you play are, sluts. That's, some awful Shakespearean life experience that I, feel really bad.
She was on the show Charmed, though, for a while.
That's true.
I feel like that was, her big thing.
But you remember, Jawbreaker and all those, 90s movies?
Oh, my God, that freaking movie.
Yeah, but it's so weird seeing her in movies because she kind of, besides your point, Charmed... She kind of got, pushed to the side. So, that I thought was just kind of, I don't know, trippy, whatever. Neve Campbell, on the other hand...
Love her.
...is a fantastic cast.
Yeah, I thought she was awesome.
For this lead part. Drew Barrymore, I don't know if it would be as good, because... Drew Barrymore, you think she's a badass, but you kind of just want to giggle and hang out with her. Neve Campbell is no, she's gonna kill the killer. I believe it.
Yeah, she was one of the only ones who actually would fight back. Whereas Drew Barrymore's character is I'm gonna hide. Not run when I could have ran. Because I'm already outside, but I'm just gonna hide. And you're no! But yeah, Sydney's I'm gonna call your bluff. I'm gonna walk out onto the porch. You ain't even here. I'm gonna beat you up, punch you, slam you with this, slam you with that.
I'm gonna use my desktop computer to type 911. Is that a thing? Can you do that?
I don't know.
Can you Google 911 and then, if a killer's coming after you, it'll come? What?
Maybe. And they came fast. They were there in 20 seconds. I was like, guys, were you already there?
Dewey.
Deputy Dewey boy.
I mean, that's what makes this cool is, it's so obvious her boyfriend was the killer, but because it was so obvious, it wasn't obvious, right?
Yeah.
It was, no, that'd be too easy. It can't be him. But then you're not let down by it because you feel just like how she feels, which is so confused on what the truth is.
They dated for 2 years.
Ugh.
Which means while they were dating, he murdered her mother.
And raped her, which you seem to not, do you not believe
that
part? I thought yeah, right? He was the one that raped her mom and then killed her.
I don't think that's what happened.
Because his dad was having an affair with Sydney's mom. It broke up his parents' marriage. That's his motive.
Even though he says, we don't need a motive, and then he monologues about a motive. Yeah, I remember. Yep,
that was weird.
Yeah.
And then he says, then I, killed your mom, but I thought in part of the killing, he also raped her.
So there was, because part of the thing, which is why Sydney thought it was this guy Cotton, which that's a name.
Wait, that was his name?
Cotton Weary.
What?
Cotton Eye Joe Weary.
Oh my God. What?
That's his name.
Good Lord.
He was sleeping with her mom, but she was Cotton raped my mom. And then everyone's like, no, your mom, like, was into it. And she was like, no, she wasn't the slut. And I think it was, she had sex with Cotton. And then I think he left, and then Billy came in and killed her because Sydney goes, I saw Cotton leave, and he was wearing this coat, and then Gail goes, no, you saw someone leave wearing that coat.
Oh, okay,
and that was the whole big thing because Sydney had testified saying, no, I saw Cotton, even though she really didn't physically see him, she just saw a guy leaving after they had, I guess,
that was
sex
really
in the house.
Juicy plot.
Yeah.
To say her mom, this so dramatic thing with her mom, but she kind of got the killer wrong, and then she's like having this existential crisis of like, what if I got the killer wrong? That was really juicy. I loved that.
Yeah, and like even with Gail, I kind of liked how they had her with that angle where she was like, oh, I'm writing a book about it. And like she was definitely portrayed as you're not supposed to like her.
Oof, rough.
But then you kind of, some parts you're kind of like, you know what? Good thing you're here. Also.
Yeah.
But like the whole writing the book thing, it was interesting because it wasn't like Sydney was like, you're exploiting this. Whereas from Gail's point of view, she's like, no, I'm trying to prove this guy didn't do it. And that's the whole point of the book. Because she was like, I've talked to him many times, and this is about his perspective, and this is about him, and stuff like that. Whereas Sydney's like, you're just using my mom's murder to make money. But really, there was like a purposeful reason to it. So it was very interesting because I feel like that, like you said, it kind of added to where Sydney started to doubt herself and then be like, wait, maybe I messed up.
It was so good.
And you did, girl.
Well, and Courtney Cox.
Gail Hailstorm. She's not Gail Hailstorm. So sorry, everyone, but I can't help myself.
You are in past mode.
I love Gail Hailstorm.
Future, present mode. She, first of all, in 2020, Gail Weathers would be fired for physically harassing her cameraman by slapping him in the face.
She called him
calling him fat.
Rude.
And then like throwing potato chips out a window. I'm like, okay, we get it. And then like screaming at how fat and slow he is. And she was so abusive. And then she proceeds to seduce Dewey, which, what do we feel like was Dewey's situation? What's going on with David Arquette? Which, by the way, the two of them met and started dating and married from this film.
They're divorced, I think.
They're divorced.
I kind of, and I mean, again, this is riffed in Scary Movie where they do it very distastefully, where they make Dewey, you know.
Yeah.
Intellectually disabled. Which is the correct term. I'm not going to use the inappropriate term. But, like, in this movie, I feel like he's kind of the comic relief. Where you're like, wait, but, like, we need you to be serious. But also, like, we're going to make you really funny. And you're like, wait, but... Okay, like what?
Yeah, it was weird. It was like he got abused by his sister, Rose McGowan, and by others. But he also was, like, showing up to help and doing his job. So you're like, wait, is he, like, a serious cop, or...
I think he was just a little, like... I was just gonna say the name of the character from Scary Movie. God damn it. That movie. So I won't say it. He was just a little immature. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But her whole thing where Courtney Cox is like, how old are you, Dewey? And he's like, I'm 25. And she's like, well, men that like me are 24 to what age? I was like, what? And then he's like, well, I was 24 for a whole year. And then what? They just go off and like have sex?
Did you hear the one line she says? You go, you don't look a day over 12. And I was like, that's not a good line. Not a good pickup line. Please never say that.
First of all, I just imagine her eyebrows, like, and lip liner saying that because her eyebrows were close to Whoopi and Sister
Her
Act.
eyebrows were like little stab knives themselves. That's how sharp they were.
They were so skinny. I was like, 1996?
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool when the party goes on at the mansion, kind of the final half, and her and Dewey are like doing their own thing because it helped you, okay, they're over there doing that, these people are doing this, and you kind of forgot about them, and that's what made, when she came back for the final scene to like give it to the killer, because she really is the hero at the end.
Definitely.
She is like Laura Dern in Jurassic Park, where it's like, you didn't get enough credit, Courtney Cox, but really, you put these kids, thank God you went there.
Yeah.
In probably a weird way, you were like over watching these kids, which is kind of weird, but like at the same time, you're the only one that cares about the fact that there's like a serial murderer out there, and you're the only one doing anything.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I was going to say, I feel like they had her and Dewey separate and then kind of doing their own thing, because then it added to, you didn't always know what was happening with the killer. So it was almost like you were put in Sydney's point of view sometimes, where she's like, I don't know where they are now. Like, they were just over there and now I don't know where they are. And then you would see like, oh, this person, now they're over here with this person. Now they're with the camera guy, Kenny. And then, going on all over. So it was scary because you didn't know where he was going to turn up. It's not like you were following him with one person the whole time. He was going around.
The whole everybody was a killer. Like, Dewey really seemed like the killer for like a good amount of time.
Really?
I thought so.
I didn't feel like that in the beginning.
Because like, okay, when they were at...
Was it because he was at Sydney's house like 5 seconons after she AOL instant message the police?
Yes. Beep, 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 beep. Isn't it funny that it would take longer for that dial-up to work than like, the cops actually coming? But he shows up with the mask and he's like, and then when she sleeps over Tatum, is that Rose McGowan's?
Yep.
Tatum's house, which obviously since they're brother and sister, he lives there. She gets the call again and they're like, Dewey, come out. And he like wasn't coming out.
Oh.
So I thought, he's the killer on the phone. And then he like, when the phone hangs up, then he mysteriously comes out. And then then when you start to see the Gale Weathers relationship, you're like, maybe he's a little more like edgy than we thought. And he's always
Bridget,
around. I'm just saying.
I gotta ask.
What?
Because the order of the movies that you watched.
Too much.
You watched Scary Movie first.
I know. This
then
is the
you
problem.
watched Scream. Do you think you were a little colored, perhaps?
100%.
Oh.
100%. But watch Scream and think of Dewey, and there's definitely some, beliefs.
The only part that I think kind of alludes to him being the killer is when he goes with Gail, and he's like, you're not afraid, are you? And he's got, the flashlight, and he does the weird voice, and she's like, ha ha ha! And I was like, ha ha, what? Stop that. Don't joke.
She is afraid. There's literally a murderer.
I'm afraid. Are you afraid? We should all be afraid. What's happening? Yeah.
Okay,
it was interesting.
So the other thing, I'm thinking of all the characters and Billy, the, as you call it, greasy hair, Johnny Depp, no blinker.
He is annoying.
He was, and obviously since we learned he's the killer and he's messed up, but he was so ridiculous with his can't you get over your mom's death? What's your problem? Get over her death. I'm like, whoa.
He is such a hypocrite because he goes on this whole monologue how she has to get over it. It's been a year. Meanwhile, he murders someone over his parents getting divorced.
Yeah.
You're a hypocrite. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, so and then his whole why don't you have sex with me? You don't even want to touch me? Why don't you even want to touch me? And then he's like, I'll respect your underwear rule? I was like, what?
He comes in to be first of all, he literally breaks into her house. And she's like, oh my God, so romantic. And I'm like, I'm afraid. And he goes, I was watching The Exorcist and I thought of you. I'm sorry. That's your start? That's the start to your, quote, romantic gesture as you're telling her she's like The Exorcist? Rude.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Because he was talking about how it was rated R.
Yep.
And their relationship used to be rated R. But it's like, ew, you were thinking about your girlfriend during The Exorcist? That's the most traumatic movie of all time.
And you know what happens that night? That's the same night the people get murdered. So he's a sicko. Ugh. You sicko, as Napoleon Dynamite would say.
I'm having a very random connection. Now knowing the writer also made Dawson's Creek, do you think they were inspired by Dawson coming in the window? By Billy coming in the window?
I don't think I really watched Dawson's Creek that much.
My God, no!
I just know the song.
He always came through the window. All of his friends came through Dawson's window. That was the thing. But I'm like, oh my God, Billy was the first one. And Dawson loves movies. Is Dawson secretly Billy?
If Dawson's like Billy, I hope Dawson's in jail. Because I'm afraid.
Okay, but so Stu, the other killer. I'm so confused. He literally killed people because of peer pressure? Is that true? Or did I miss something?
No, I think that was it. That's all he gets.
He was weird.
He was, but you know what? Matthew Lillard, who played him, was like insanely awesome at playing him.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean it in like a good way, because sometimes I feel like it's hard to play like crazy people and not be annoying. Like, I didn't find him annoying. I felt like he was weird, he was goofy, but then he was also kind of scary in that like ending scene when they're in the kitchen and he's like going on and on about, it's us, it's a Scream, baby. Oh my god, so good.
He was really good at the end, but if he had more lines, I would have been annoyed by him. Like, he was right on the edge of being annoying for me.
You know what's funny, though? A lot of his lines, if you rewatch the movie and you know how it ends and you know he's one of the killers, when you hear the lines that he says, even the very passive ones that are throughout the movie, it's very, like, incriminating. So he's the one, the day after Drew Barrymore and the boyfriend get murdered, and they're all in school, and they're sitting at, like, the fountain.
Yeah.
And they're all talking.
Yeah.
And this was the Bob scene, where everyone's, like, quiet and normal, and Sydney goes, how do you gut someone? And then, like, everyone's quiet for many seconds, because, like, why did you... Just Google that. Like, don't... Like, we don't need to have a conversation about it. But Stu straight up goes, well, you take a knife, you slash here, you pull down. Like, he straight up was like... And then you watch... And the scene cuts to Sydney, and Billy's sitting behind her, and Billy looks at him and makes this face, and it could be interpreted like, oh, he's trying to tell Stu to shut up because it could, like, be scary to Sydney, but I think it's because he's like, dude, you're blowing our cover.
So good. Totally.
But there's that. There's the part in the video store where Stu's talking to Randy. And Randy's like, you don't think that's a killer? Billy's standing in the horror section. Like, how incriminating. And then Stu's like, what? Like, that's weird. But Stu goes, you know who I think did it? I think it was Sydney's dad. And that's who they try to plant it on later in the movie. So he's trying to plant that idea in Randy's head to support what he thinks is going to end up coming through later.
Ooh!
Yeah, man, there's a lot.
There is a lot of layers.
So even the party scene when Billy shows up to the party, which, first of all, everybody, when Billy appears at the party, you know what happens? Do you remember, Bridge?
Yeah, he sends her upstairs to go have sex with Sydney.
No.
Oh.
Well, literally the part where Billy appears.
No.
Do you know how it's filmed?
No.
Okay, so, like, the door is open. Stu's holding the door open. Sydney is, like, looking around. She's like, I guess I'll go. And then Billy sprints to the door, slams into the door, and it's a loud, like, chun! Like, it's like a murder sound. And then he's like, hey, Sid, I'm Billy. And you're like, wait, so we just filmed you as, like, the scary murderer? But I'm supposed to believe you're not the scary murderer? You're the murderer!
Oh my god. I need to rewatch that part.
Stu's like, you guys, should go upstairs. And he's basically, like, trying to set it up so that Sydney's still in the house so that they can do their whole plan. Oh. It's cray.
It is cray.
It's just, I think they did it so well where things like that you don't blink an eye at when you watch it the first time. Yeah, like, you're just kind of like, there's multiple reasons why someone would be saying this or reacting this way.
Yeah.
And it's not super incriminating. I mean, again, I think as you rewatch it, you're kind of like, okay, like, I'm sorry. I do feel like Billy is creepy and, like,
100%.
Gives off murder vibes. So that could have been done a little differently, I think.
Like, you think he shouldn't have been so obvious?
Yeah, like,
okay,
the whole no blinking thing, like you pointed out, I never noticed, but maybe that's why I feel that way. Where I'm like, why aren't you blinking? He's like, what do I have to do to convince you I'm not the killer? And he's like evilly staring and like gritting his teeth. You're like, wait, that's not helping. That's not how you do it.
He's like, I'm not the killer.
He's like, taking a knife, stabbing her. It's not me.
It's not me.
That's pretty much, yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
If you had to pick one character in this movie that you think I would be, who would I be? Regardless of, don't worry about gender. Think personality.
Without a doubt, Randy.
Yes! I'm I'm like, I am Randy. Randy is me. Randy is so passionate and goes on monologues about things, and that is me.
Oh my god, I'm kind of afraid for this answer. Who would I be? I'm really afraid for this answer.
You?
Oh, I'm scared. I don't know if I want to know this.
I feel like you'd be a mix of people. Because I think you would... I actually feel like you wouldn't be like any of the people. Because I don't think... If you were one of the victims, I don't think you would have tried to fight back. I think you would have tried to run.
Oh,
but
yeah,
none of the victims tried to run.
Run out the door.
So, probably like a mix of Sydney.
Oh.
Maybe Gail, because you're like, f*** off.
I'm gonna take this to the top, folks. Yeah, Randy was if there was a babe voice in the background, that it's like, Chapter 7, sad day! Like, literally, that's Randy in every scene. He's like, well, you know, the killer in all these scary movies usually does this. Well.
I love it, though. I love it so much. But you know what? He's right. He's right about every single thing he says in this movie. Except when he goes through the rules of the scary movies. That part isn't entirely factual, because Sydney does have sex, and she lives at the end, and many people who have sex live at the end.
Which is kind of like a female empowerment thing, that she could still have sex and then still not die.
Right.
At that time, I mean, 1996, we're getting there, but not really, because Harvey Weinstein produced it.
Well, it's very, and like the whole thing where the movie that is playing through most of this party scene is Halloween, which was a very, I think, probably of all the horror movies before this, it represented a lot of the tropes that they were bringing up, right? So it was kind of like, oh, in that movie, Jamie Lee Curtis is the final girl, and she doesn't have sex, so she lives, and she's so, like, you know, she always does the right thing, and that's why she, like, lives, and blah, 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 and stuff like that. But it's just so cool how they filmed some of that stuff, though. Like, they used Halloween music in this movie at certain points, but it was done so seamlessly that I don't think it was, like, always super obvious. It just made you like, woo!
Yes.
Also, did you notice when Randy goes on his angry monologue about there are 3 rules to every horror film, which is, again, me. That is me. Apologize in advance to anyone who's been at a Halloween party with me, because that's probably happened. Anyway, he pauses the movie, and do you know what is on the screen? And he's standing next to the TV, so you see the screen next to him the entire time he does this monologue. Do you know what it's showing? It's showing a giant knife, and it's pointed at him. And it's just frozen there. It's so good. Oh my god.
The 3 layers of Gail putting in the camera to watch them inside while he's watching a movie was so cool to see how those multiple layers happened again.
And the fact that the camera she had was delayed, because that added to the creepiness. And at first, the camera guy, Kenny, notices it and he's like, oh, it's not a big deal, like, whatever. But then it is a big deal, because that's how you get murdered.
Oh my god.
So good.
I have, like, so many continued things. One thing before I forget that is sprinkled, if you will, throughout this film are the random references to, like, pop culture stuff. And Sydney, at one point, is like, you're having Jodie Foster flashbacks to your dead father.
That's what Billy says to her before they have sex.
Okay, Billy says that to her, and she's like, yeah, why can't I be in a Meg Ryan movie? Or even a good porno?
Do you know what my follow-up to that was?
What?
I go, are there good pornos?
Well, and then it's like, and then I see, I where the hell is my line? But it was like, I'll probably end up being played by Tori Spelling. And I'm like, ouch.
And then.
What did she do?
And then. In Scream 2, they do, in the movie, a movie based off of Sydney's experience, and guess who plays Sydney in the made-up movie in the movie?
Tori Spelling?
Yeah! So awesome!
God. Literally.
Oh my god.
It's like a John Malkovich, like, movie.
Oh my god.
Literally, it's like, we're in being Sydney, being Neve Campbell. Oh my god. Yeah, I like, and then they just reference, like, a lot of pop culture stuff. Like, at one point, Stu's like, as if, and then somebody's like, okay, Alicia Silverstone in Clueless, and you're like, what? Like, I don't know if those will age well, but that's what made it kind of like cool at the time.
They made a lot of references to different horror movies in like not super obvious ways. So they'll be like, oh, like, so when Sydney, you know, thought Billy was a killer, then Stu sees her and Stu goes, well, you branded him the Candyman, you know, and then like when the town, there's a curfew, they're like, oh, it's like the town that dreaded sundown, you know?
Yes.
And then my favorite is,
and
wait,
then,
let me
every
find
time
it.
Katie says, and then.
Shoot, where are we? Oh, here we are. So Tatum, when she, in her death scene, where she just, you know, it really bothered me because, like, there's a difference between being brave and being dumb.
Yes.
Right? So, like...
Why can't she just lift the garage door? Like, it's not heavy.
Why can't she continue beating up the guy? Because she kind of started to, and then it's like she stopped, and it was stupid.
It was stupid.
So she doesn't believe that this is the real killer. Everybody keeps thinking it's Randy. I just don't feel like Randy's that much of a prankster. Like, everyone kept thinking he was...
Is it because Randy's you?
Kept thinking, I don't pull pranks, people.
Personally offended?
I do not own any whoopee cushions, so it's not me. But, like, she thinks it's him, so she walks up close to him, and then the killer grabs her arm, and she goes, cut it, Casper, that's a wrap.
I watched Scary Movie as our oops. I thought the scene in Scary Movie where she's like, oh, what are you just gonna like cut off my arm? And then they like slice off her arm and she's like, oh, so what? I have another arm. And then they slice off and the killer's like, and then it gets to the point where he like chops her head off and she's like, that's it? You're just gonna chop my head off? And they like, he throws it in the garbage. I'm like, okay, now watching Rose McGowan do this scene, it makes sense. It's like, wait, what? It just, okay, I get it. You want to have this garage door with her stuck through it. Okay, but like, what? I just thought it was a little much. And then garage doors, wouldn't hold people and like, stop.
No.
I feel like they could have tried harder on that one.
And like, how did no one hear that? The garage is next to the kitchen, which is literally next to the living room where all the people are sitting.
Well, Katie, maybe if Randy wasn't on so many rants, they could hear her.
I am over it. Everybody stop blaming Randy. Randy did nothing wrong. Randy was the only person who was pointing out who all the bad guys are, and nobody listens to Randy. I'm over it. I don't want to hear it.
Well, I feel like nobody listens to Randy because Randy's just going on monologues.
Well, they were correct, mostly. For the most part. Which also, so the one scene where it's Kenny, it's when Sydney gets away from the killer in the house, and then she goes to the van where Kenny is. And so he's like, what? Look, I'm watching. Everything's fine. And then they look on the camera and it's just Randy, who is played by Jamie Kennedy. That's the actor's name.
Yes.
He's sitting alone on the couch. He's watching Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis. And as he's sitting there, he goes, watch out, Jamie. Look behind you, Jamie. And what's behind him? The killer. So meta and awesome. And like, when do you ever have the opportunity to do something as like cool as that? Like,
brilliant.
So cool.
So brilliant. And after that kind of like the killer comes out, the camera guy gets killed, and then she runs into the other car.
Oh my god.
Okay, that scene is incredible.
It's so stressful.
Okay, but like incredible whoever thought of it where, and again, technology would like change these things.
Yeah.
But she hits the lock with the one hand. She hits the other. The killer's got the keys. He goes to the ground. She keeps flying back and forth like kicking the locks. I was really captivated by that scene. Yeah. And then the trunk going up and she's like, I was like,
That's so stressful.
It was so stressful.
Even when she, after that, then runs up to the house, like she runs back to the house, and whatever, Dewey is like, oh, Dewey's stabbed, but then he's fine, so like whatever, we'll just ignore that. But then she has Stu and Randy being like, oh my god, it's him, and she has the gun. Like, that's stressful. She doesn't know who it is. But also, like, when in doubt, listen to Randy.
First of all, let's talk if you were in that scene. as yourself, not Randy.
Oh, okay. I'll try.
You have the gun.
Yeah.
It's basically a bloodbath. And these two guys, one you just had sex with, the other...
No, nuh-uh.
Billy. She had sex with Billy.
No, I know, but I'm talking about the scene where it was Stu and Randy that met her outside, and they're like, he's the killer. And then she's like...
not in the kitchen.
F you both. And then she runs inside. Then Billy comes down.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about. But you want to talk about the kitchen?
Well, in the kitchen, doesn't she have the gun, and then, like, he slowly takes it from her?
No. It's when she closes the door on both of them, because she doesn't want to decide.
That's right.
Billy, like, rolls out of the kitchen. It's been like a half hour. And she's like, thank God you're okay. First of all, Sid, homeboy don't got no stab marks through his shirt. There are no slashes in the cloth.
None.
There's a lot of clues that this is BS. And then he goes, give me the gun. And she gives it to him. Don't give people guns. That's just, like, for everyone. That's
pretty, like, creepy that he starts licking the blood, and he's like, corn syrup. I was like, ah!
And he quotes Psycho.
Oh, he does.
We all go a little mad sometimes. And then he's like, that's from Psycho, in case you didn't know. I'm like, we know, Billy. Alright? Jeez. Get away. It's ridiculous.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's just...
So... Okay, that kitchen scene.
Okay, the kitchen scene. We're in the kitchen.
So I feel like we kind of referenced it already, but we find out it's these two dinglings. And initially, you only think it's Billy. And then Sydney tries to run, and she runs into Stu. And she's like, oh my god, Stu, he's cray. He's the murderer. And then Stu's like, yo, same. You're like, damn it.
Having two killers is a surprise. Because that's, like, not a normal thing.
Even now, I was trying to think of, like...
Like, who's a tag team killer?
I don't know. That's the thing. I was really trying to rack my brain and be like, aside from, you know, like a mob movie or anything like that, I really feel like a lot of movies still kind of will have the one main bad guy. But this one, it was the two. They were pretty equal, you know? It's not like Billy was like, I did it all. But then I told Stu and now he's standing there. You're like, no, Stu, like, did that too. Like, we're all guilty of this, so...
Like, how much do Stu and Billy hang out? My god.
It's just weird.
A lot.
Too much. Okay, the stabbing scene where they are like, we're gonna stab each other. Oh my god. I feel like if I was Sydney... I mean, we all know I'm Randy, so... What I would have said as Sydney/Randy is I would have said, guys, if your plan is to kill me, do it.
Do it first. You don't need to stab yourself first.
I don't need to witness, like, the whole
You can stab
framing.
yourself afterwards.
Yes, thank you. And then they would have been like, good idea, Sydney Randy. Even with the, like, dad, they're like, here's your dad. And then this is what we're gonna do. And then, okay, now hang on for 5 minutes while we do that. And you're like, wait.
I'm feeling a little woozy, Billy.
He's so good. And then when she, like, escapes from them and calls the phone and is talking to him and he goes, did you really call the police? Because she bitch, sorry, I did. And he goes, but my mom's be so mad at me. It's so good. Oh my god.
Ugh.
I liked how Sydney killed both of them.
Yes.
She kills Stu, throws the TV on him, which is... I felt like
So
there were
good.
a lot of little references to, like, technology in that way, where it was kind of saying, like, it can kill you, you know? Or, like, it's a weapon.
You're starting to
like,
sound like me.
I know. But, you know, with the whole phone thing, how it's like, you can't trust the phone, you don't know, and then the whole TV is the thing that kills Stu. I don't know. I mean, maybe that was, like, a underlying thing. But Stu dies with the TV, and then even at the end, where we think we shot Billy, but really Billy's alive, and then Sydney shoots him. She's the one who, like, kills him.
Yeah. Because once again, Randy's on another monologue.
Randy's like, now that I got shot and stabbed and I'm back, let me just finish off my purpose. Here we go.
She's like, so as I was saying, we're like, yes, Randy.
Brandy's like, here's my PowerPoint presentation. I had it all set up.
Back to slide 75. My God.
There will be a quiz, people.
Okay, wait. I'm connecting something that I read and forgot to share.
What?
When he references The Exorcist and all these homage to these amazing scary movies, there was a character from The Exorcist in this movie.
Ooh, I don't think I know who.
Well, I'm totally gonna forget her name.
Oh,
nope. Linda Blair.
Yeah?
The main character.
Yeah.
She's one of the newswomen.
What?
Yes!
I didn't even see her.
Oh, yeah. Google it. She's in it.
Oh, interesting.
There's my nugget for you.
I love that.
Yeah. But this is a movie I would watch again. The first time is way better because you don't know who it is, obviously, and that's like part of what makes it great. But even knowing that and watching it again, it's still good.
Listen.
Does it hold up?
I think so. Oh my God, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think you have to accept that obviously it was made in the 90s, so you have to be accepting of the technology and all that stuff. But yeah, I think it's just fun too, because again, everybody's referencing things. So if you like horror, like, you're going to get all of these references, you're going to agree with all of these, and you'll still be surprised. But I want to go back to what we said, I think, in this recording, and not the past No, it was this recording.
In the future. Present.
No, present recording. The present recording where you had said that you were like, you didn't like Saw. And I was like, I didn't say that. And then you were like, you didn't like Adam. And I was like, correct. This movie, similar to Saw, I think is one of those movies that the first time you watch it is so awesome because you are very surprised. But, like Saw, when you rewatch it knowing the ending, I think you then are able to pick up on a lot of things that you wouldn't have noticed. So you're picking up on, oh, where was Billy or Stu the night this person was killed? Or the time this person was killed? Or, like, what are they saying? And how are they reacting? And things like that. Like, it's very interesting.
Yeah. It let you in on the, like, murderer's cover while not being aware of it. And that's what made it so fun.
Yep.
Okay, did Dad do a quote?
Mel, who is a big fan of our podcast. She's a
I love you, Mel.
She said, if you ever do the movie Scream, I would like to be included because I will tell you that Mel is one of my longest friends. We met 3rd grade, I think, and now we're old. And every year, starting in like probably 7th grade, all the way through the rest of middle school, all the way through high school, every year on Memorial Day, our friend group had a tradition where we would go to Mel's pool, because she lived in a condo development, there was a pool. We would all go to the pool during the day, and then afterwards we'd go back to our house, and we would watch the movie Scream.
Really?
For like 6 years in a row. It was
Why on Memorial Day?
Just a very random tradition. I don't know. We all just liked it. And we were like, this is what it is now. And we would watch our middle school talent show in 8th grade. So there was like a double feature. Anyway, here's her quote.
So if you were to ask me about the movie Scream when I was in the 8th grade, which you were there for, you remember, I would probably say, yeah, it's a pretty scary movie. It's very suspenseful. It has a really great twist at the end. Because as you remember, Katie, we were really weirdo kids, and every Memorial Day we would have a little powwow in my backyard, enjoy some, BBQ, but then we'd also watch Scream. Like, that was a holiday must. So I think back to growing up with the movie and thinking, it was a scary one. But now I feel like it's definitely one of my favorite Halloween movies. Yes, I said it, favorite. Because, hear me out, the weird thing is that the killer dies. Like, you can kill the killer. And I think that's something that we miss a lot in scary movies. Because, those movies like Jason and Freddy, the killer doesn't die. So why am I going to watch 12 more versions of the same movie when, there's no way to win? There's no winning for anybody in that scenario. And Scream, you have these multidimensional characters who at the end either get what they deserve or they get what's coming to them, and there is some beautiful character development in that as well, if you really want to get crazy into it. But it is one of those movies that is quotable. I know whenever we watch it, it is like we can verbatim say this movie. But it's also one of those movies that shows some really interesting aspects of teenage life in the 90s, perhaps. The lack of bras, for example. The use of huge houses in the middle of nowhere to throw parties. Laughing when our principal is found murdered and going to mess with the body. Like, just normal teenage things. So I think that, of course, the ending has a great twist, something you would never imagine. But I think that's life. Like, sometimes, you just never know who you can trust, and you never know who's gonna have an ulterior motive. I'm like thinking of the scene literally, and I think I quote this sometimes with my mom, and she doesn't get it. When Sydney says, like, I just called 911, they're on their way, and the freaking Stu is on the floor bleeding, and he's like, did you really call 911? My mom and dad are gonna be so mad at me, because it's like still that element of human that it's not like, you don't get that from like Freddy or Jason. They don't even freaking talk, and if they do, it's like in some weird demonic riddle, like, like it's not relatable. Not saying you want to relate to a killer, but I think that's the whole point of the movie. Like, you really have to tap into that different element of every person. Everyone is capable of feeling hate and feeling, scared, and everyone in their life, has something in them where they just want to scream. Title of the movie. So it's something where I love it just because of how real it is. And again, as real as it can be for a 90s movie. As real as if you want to think of, Courtney Cox's weird bangs in the third installment of it. The fact that they're making a fifth one, but it's a fifth one based off of the originals. I have a lot of questions, like, leave Sydney alone. The poor girl just needs to grow up and live out her life. But I digress. This is really long, so I'm sure you'll edit it. Edit this, because I feel like I'm giving you more work. So if not, just end it wherever you'd like. I already blacked out.
Oh my god.
We love you, Mel. You're the best. Absolute best.
Yes, thank you, Mel. We love you. Oh my god. All right, well,
Kate, I was just going to tell you something.
Oh.
I think we killed it.
Did we stab it?
We murdered it.
We're murderers.
What a scream.
Everybody's a suspect. That's me as Randy. Wait, but we have to pick our next movie.
Whee!
Yeah!
Don't make it scary. Don't make it scary. Don't make it.
No. I'm giving you a break because I don't know if we want to count like Blessed as a scary movie now that we've watched it. But, those two in a row. So it is the month of October. It's a spoopy month.
Spoopy?
Yeah. Yes. Very spoopy.
What's a spoopy mean? Like spooky?
It's like spooky, but with a P.
Oh, you're so much cooler than me. Okay.
Well, probably not. I'm Randy. Remember, I'm Randy, so...
But Randy survived, so...
Well, okay. So,
okay.
The movie I'm picking... It's not a scary movie. It's actually like a comedy. It's listed as a comedy. I think if you're a younger kid... Because, ironically, I think a lot of kids saw this movie when you hear the year it came out.
Oh.
You probably thought it was a little scary, because there's some scary imagery, but it's not meant to scare. It's meant to be funny and to represent some source material. And actually, this movie, it came out in 1988.
Oh!
It is by a director that we have already done a movie on, and it includes an actor sister that we have also already done a movie on.
Oh, I'm picking up vibes. I got a hunch. What is it?
So it is the fantasy, which sure, spoopy comedy.
Oh.
Rated PG, which like LOL, good one. We are gonna watch Beetlejuice.
Oh, I didn't think we were going there. Oh, they're going for E.T. I don't know why.
Oh,
Beetlejuice.
Woo!
Jump in the line. Get your body on time. Okay, I believe it.
Catherine O'Hara
Oh
is
my
a
God.
queen, and
Oh
I
my
am
God.
ready for
All
it
I
all.
can think about is Catherine O'Hara in Schitt's Creek, and it's gonna be so hard to watch her.
Hello, I'm Moira Rose with Beetlejuice.
Oh, this is a good one.
This is
Wow,
Tim
that came out
Burton,
in 1988?
Tim Burton, and Michael Keaton.
Wow.
We're going back to our Batman, episode 4.
Wow. I
Yeah.
love it. Michael Keaton, man.
He's got range.
He's got range. He's
Oh,
got
yeah.
some Val Kilmer range.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Good pick.
Woo! Woo! So excited.
Beetlejuice did scare me.
Because it's like, how was this rated PG? I mean, it was the 80s, so like, fun.
Excellent choice.
Woo!
Well, Kate, what's your favorite scary movie?
It might be one of, kind of this one.
You dead, Randy. You dead.
Bridget, there are 3 rules to podcasting about movies. 1, you always pick a movie that you like. Wait, no.
Rule number 1, have no rules. Boom.
Rule number 1, no rules. 2, don't,
Follow rule 1.
follow 1. Rule 3 is you never watch Scary Movie as one of them.
Okay, you can't do parodies. You just can't.
Except Scary Movie 3.
Oh
Anyway,
my God.
we'll do it one day. One day.
So good. This was good. Wes Craven, man.
I love them.
Okay, well.
So let's just refresh for our listeners. Y'all got a homework, right? Y'all gonna let us know if you do watch the movies before you listen to us. We would like to know. Let us know via Twitter or Instagram. And also, if you like us, leave us a review. And if you don't like us, then you're a suspect. And I'm gonna check your phone records.
If you leave a review and leave your contact information, I am volunteering, or like email, I'm volunteering Katie to send you a voice note as Randy on a movie of your choice, where she'll go off on a rant about whatever you want, whatever the scene is. If they write a review, that you should promise to do.
I can easily do that, and I think that should be one of our Patreon tiers if we ever make a Patreon. So, but
I don't even know how that works.
Oh God. Okay, we'll talk about that off air. Okay. All right. Good night, listeners.
Good night, or good morning, or good afternoon.
Who knows? I don't know.
Whatever.
We'll see you next time.
I'll be right back. Bye. Love you.
Thanks for tuning in to Sisters Who've Seen It. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, among other podcasting websites. Or listen on our website at sisterswhoseenit.buzzsprout.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at sisterswhoseen and on Instagram at sisterswhoseenit, all spaced with underscores. See you next week.